Hey Rich, how are you? Ready for vacation?
Very ready.
Okay, so we're going to Puerto Rico, no?
Yeah.
No, you're going, okay. All right, so we'll have Bojana Novakovic. She's an athlete, she's an actor, she works with Alan Cumming, and she's a good friend. She was brought by John, okay? She eats really, really clean. So I want to have green earth ball, no tofu, but black beans, okay? Let's do shishito peppers for 80. Let's do, she loves our cheese, so toast and
Toast
couple of
points,
cheese,
okay.
yeah, and avocado.
That's
And
okay.
green machine with onion rings, okay?
All right, nice. Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the East Village. Welcome to 123 First Avenue, the fantastic organic grill, the OG. Welcome to OG Talk. I'm here with my dear friend Vlad Grinberg.
Hey, guys.
And I'm here with Bojana. We usually just do one name. You're a one-name superstar.
Do you only do one name?
You
don't know how to pronounce my last name.
I didn't want to try and mess it up.
I think you should. Where is it?
I didn't write it
somewhere?
down
Let's
here.
try it, let's try it.
Do you know it?
Nankanowitz.
I do.
Oh.
Okay, let me try. Novakovic.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Novakovic. All right. Yeah, not
And
bad.
the winner
It's a lot
is-
easier. We should have asked in advance. Novakovic.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like something you're not allowed to do. Novakovic, you're not allowed, so please. But you can Bojana. Girls in Bojana playing with names. So this is OG Talk. This is what I came here, and Vlad and I were sitting with some people, and we're having a chat, and we're talking about life and food, and people come here to eat great food, and there's compassion and all the things. And we said, why don't we just film it?
I love how you just skirt by it. Like, oh, it's compassion.
Compassion and whatever goes along
Whatever
with it, and the
compassionate it
thing.
is.
And so we decided to do this show, and you're someone who I met through here because we would just sit together. My brother Keith came, our friend John Joseph came. We all sat at a table. We became friends, and I'm so excited that you're here
Me too.
for this in the morning. So you're looking at here? Yeah, I've made little notes. You want to
I haven't
see?
even seen.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen
Oh, right,
you
yeah.
since you
Because he
left
does-
to Australia, right? So it's been like 2-3 months, right?
No, I was in. No. I
Oh,
came back.
Croatia.
But you
no?
weren't here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Which is shocking.
And when I'm not here and Bojana is here, I shouldn't worry. She tells people what to do.
Absolutely.
She checks how they take your order. She actually called me yesterday to place an order for today.
Yeah, well, it's smart to do. So what were you doing in Australia? Were you working or were you seeing?
Yes, months ago I was working.
Right.
But then this time around, I was just seeing family for Christmas. But then I was also protesting the
Right.
the government's treatment of the environment.
Right.
Yeah.
We
And
should-
now,
we should
now
touch that.
Yeah. So
Touch that.
yeah, it's too hot. You can't touch
too
that.
hot. It actually is too
Yeah.
But
So
when she says she's visiting parents, it sounds so casual. I'll tell you what she did.
Okay.
I saw some of the pictures. I'm dying to ask you. Like your father actually flew you to the island. What's the story?
Oh my god,
He's
that's a whole other visit. No, I flew me to the island. This literally sounds like my parents have like some private helipad. No, my dad's dream from when we went to
Right.
Australia was to go to Heron Island, which is this southern island on the Great Barrier Reef. And I was in Australia working. This was a few months ago.
okay.
This was not this trip. This was not during the fires. I just need
It's
to
okay. I'm not
say
taking
that.
notes on the calendar.
Yeah, but the people are judging.
Yes.
So
Judgmental people.
So
You people.
vegans. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, she isn't. No, she isn't.
I'm kind of not actually when it comes to certain people. My dad's dream was to visit Heron Island, and I don't know why we never did it. And then I had a weekend off, and I sort of just put it to my family. I said, I'm going if you want to come with me. So anyway, I took them. So it was
That's
amazing.
pretty great.
But
So
he was flying, no?
What do you mean? We were all flying.
But I thought he was a pilot, no?
He sat in the front.
Oh, come on.
No,
It's not even a story anymore.
thanks for bringing it up.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad we started like that.
Yeah, he was on a plane and they put him in the cockpit and said, and they gave him little wings.
Yeah, we
and
let
they
him
said
go
no.
in the front.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
God.
really
I
sweet.
was like, what a guy.
Well, right away, let's talk about Australia.
My
What's
dad's pretty
going on in
amazing,
Australia right now? It's pretty crazy. And a lot of the world is in, craziness to begin with, but the focus lately has been people coming together to try to raise money. And you know, is money going to be able to help the scenario
Oh yeah,
in
of
Australia?
course. If it's properly spent,
Right.
and I find it really fascinating actually. There's quite a lot going on over there in terms of the bushfires because it's the biggest ones that I've ever seen. You know, the government when he got elected,
Right.
the Prime Minister, you know, took funding away from fire management.
Whoa.
Because he denies climate change, and he's still denying it. And now,
What do you think?
Actually, they talk,
What do you think his perspective is? Why he would deny this? Because I would wonder what you think.
Oh, it's got to be. I just don't. You just can't be that stupid. It's got to be that he's lying
just
and making. It's
or
about.
ignorance,
Could be about
yeah.
money, right? That's what I'm thinking.
It has to be about money. I've been thinking about whether these super educated white men who are in power actually believe that 95% of scientists or 99% of scientists are wrong. It just doesn't make sense to
Right.
me.
And then again, it all comes back to money. It's like you look at elections and why people support this person and why this person is not standing up for what's best for the country or what's best for humans. And why is it? It's money. And it's always that
But we
situation.
don't have the same kind of money in politics in Australia as you do here, which is why it's so flabbergasting that he still denies the science.
So, like, in your perspective, there is no secondary gain to take this position?
There is absolutely, but I don't. But you know, it's not about so much money as it is here. It's different, and it's a different system. But at the same time, there is of course all that wheeling and dealing, and there's just no like lobby interests. But at the same time, there's a whole private sector in Australia, obviously. So you know, he was actually having conversations with insurance companies about possibly bailing them out, and it's like, well, no, they make billions of, like, they're going to be fine.
Right.
They just need to do their jobs and now put their money where their mouth is and kind of help all these
Remediate
people.
the situation.
Well, of course
yeah.
they do, and it's like maybe they don't make such a big profit this year, but we can't be paying premiums on insurance and then also be paying taxes and then. Please.
Now, how about the community right now? What's going on there? I mean, we know what's happening here, where people are freaking out and sending money, but what's going on there? You were just there.
I was just there. People are definitely freaking out, and rightfully so. I think mostly what's going on right now is, you know, crisis management. Like, you can't. It's for the people who are on the ground. It's just about stopping the fires, making people safe, protecting as many homes, people and animals as possible. But you have
And
to-
did they have the means, or because of the funding being
No, this
decreased?
is why the fires have spread.
Wow.
So you can light a fire. Look, I'm not a scientist and I'm not a fire specialist, but I do know some basics because I've looked them up. You know, there's this whole talk of, oh, how did the fires start? Well, it doesn't actually really matter
Right.
because it's
As
about
it's
how they're
happening.
spreading.
Right.
And it's happening. And so
As it's happening in California, in this country,
Yeah.
you know, the same thing is going on, and people are just passing the blame onto us. It's PG&E, it's this electric company, it's this, instead of doing what's important.
Yeah,
for the
and you
scenario.
can't hold an individual accountable for lighting a cigarette and not putting it out properly for 100 fires. It just doesn't make sense. The fires would not be spreading if the conditions weren't there for them to spread, and those conditions exist because of like dire management plans. And it's not just this government. Like in Australia, it's not just that government that's responsible. There's also been other governments or leaders that have sort of, you know, there was the stoppage of backburning, which is the indigenous communities' sort
Right.
of tradition, actually, which is a far safer way to manage the land, and that's to do with sort of like creating smoke and then burning from a circle. And what happens is that, I'm not a scientist, I don't know the technicalities, but from what I understand is that when you create that circle, the fire spreads a lot slower. Smoke gives signals to the animals, so they actually have this chance to sort of leave, and they move, and the fire spreads safely, is contained, and then of course that ash provides, you know, fertilizer
future,
for
yeah.
the future,
The future,
and there's new growth. Yeah, and then the fires can't spread to those areas. It's
And these animals, you know, they're, you know,
1 billion.
1 billion.
Have died.
Yeah, and somebody said
And
something
there's more.
recently, and about eating animals or treating animals poorly, like we do in the world. It's like what's going on is very similar. Is that if we don't eat animals, the same amount of animals that are dying in these fires are dying every day.
Yeah, and nobody pays attention.
And nobody
yeah.
pays attention
Oh,
to
yeah.
the animals. It's,
Yeah, they're eating their steak dinner and going, oh, the poor koalas.
yeah, right.
I mean-
some more of that koala sauce, please. That's good. Now, speaking of vegan foods, you're a vegan, and that's how we met. You came to this place. We have incredible food here that we're going to bring to you. Do we have the food ready? Do you want to
Yeah.
bring that out?
Oh my God, I have to eat now?
Yeah, you don't have to eat,
No,
but
it's-
if
I mean,
you
this
don't,
is my favorite meal, like
Right.
in New York City, but I'm not hungry.
You don't have
Okay,
to.
no, give it to me,
what I haven't even
I
said
just,
yet.
I
while
just made a couple of toasts with your cheese.
Yeah.
But you know, I can't eat bread.
All right, so we'll just put it on
So
the
you'll
side.
eat that.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
No, you'll eat it. Don't panic.
So
Vlad,
And
you
not
can just
panicking.
get
Oh my God,
the
he's so-
blue cheese on the side.
He,
Okay?
well,
he's
he,
the best.
he
You're
cares.
the best. You can eat it.
Yeah.
it's okay.
All right. So what do we have
Why?
here?
So this is your favorite dish, green earth ball. Maybe you should describe it.
No, you go for it.
All right. So instead of the tofu, we usually she usually chooses beans. All right.
Okay.
So it's pasteurized avocado, burnt kale, and broccoli.
Okay. And
So
this
this
is
is
one
for-
of the most popular dishes.
this is for
when you come
Eddie.
in this restaurant.
If
No,
you
this
don't
is
wanna,
for me.
If you don't want to eat clean like Bojana, there is always dish for Eddie, onion rings, and those
This is
are
my dish right
famous
What's this?
Eddie Brill
Shishito peppers, Japanese
You
peppers.
should try it.
Is
They're-
that on the menu?
It's new.
No, it's new.
It's my
Oh.
dish.
This is what happens
Yeah.
when you leave for 2 months
Yeah.
to Australia.
Yes, I want you to try this
Of
this
course I want to try it.
And no wonder we have this sandwich. It's Triple J, John Joseph
sandwich. These are all our friends'
sandwich. And
dishes together.
he was the reason Bojana is here. He introduced
That's
us to our
true.
food.
Yes.
Do you know when I first came and I saw the desserts, I was like, oh, it's a vegetarian place.
Right.
And then, because she also asked if like we wanted milk in our coffee, and I was like, oh, no, thank you. And then John was like ordering a dessert. I don't know if he ordered a dessert or if she came up to us and said to him, do you want a dessert? And he was like, oh, what have you got? And I thought, what? What is he doing? Has he changed? Yeah.
Well, try one of these. You can even use your finger
and
if
there's
you
no
want.
sugar or flour in this.
None whatsoever.
no,
It's
no.
just Japanese
And you
pepper
don't
and a
this
sweet
one
sauce.
I don't think
has
no, I want
sweet,
that
so
one.
you
Right.
can just it's pretty sweet.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so good.
So while
Nice,
you're,
huh?
yeah, this is my favorite thing, and I took him
And
to
now
a
we have
place.
to sell it, and it looks
my
like
God.
only Eddie.
I'm the only one who
buys it.
orders it. I
What?
think. No, that's not better.
I'm
To not
joking,
be
I'm
true.
joking. Just trying to lower his expectations.
Oh my
It's
God.
not hard to do.
Oh my God. It's so
Nice,
good.
huh?
Just, is there like a hot, oh fuck. I got the seeds.
You got the one hot seed. The hot seeds.
That answers my question.
Okay. Most of them are not hot. You'll get one hot one every once in a while.
So
and you
tell
got
us
the hot
about
one.
the protest you.
Well, just to let the crowd know, because I haven't even said that you're an actress and that you know, that's not the most important thing, but so people know that's what you do. And when you travel
That's
a lot,
not important thing.
it's important, but not the most important thing. The
No,
most
he
important
went
thing,
off of me. You didn't. I went, oh yeah, whatever.
right? Meaning that we're friends, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
that's
it
why I was
is.
going to that.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, what were you asking and saying with bread in your mouth?
Yeah. Just wanted to know a little bit more. I saw the pictures and you texted me what you were doing, but I want people to know what was protest about.
Well, so on New Year's Eve in Australia, the fires were getting worse, and Sydney, City of Sydney Council decided to keep going with the fireworks because they wouldn't. It wouldn't make a difference to the people who are suffering, or or the fires or the firefighters, whatever. Which was kind of absurd because the whole cloud was covered in ash. And it kind of didn't make any sense. And even just in and of itself, it was a bit odd because they were talking about how much money they make from the fireworks. Look, the money had already been spent and that's fine. They spend $6 million, they make $150 million. And when you think about it, as a city, you can just, and there was this huge gust of wind at 5 p.m, like crazy wind where they could have used that as an excuse to just cancel the fireworks, do some shows. They still would have made their money. Maybe they would have made 10 million less, but they're still making like
But
so
even
much
who
profit.
brings
And it's
this-
funny, we keep bringing
But
back
who
money.
brings, yeah, who brings
Tourists,
it down?
right.
Yeah.
No, they do. It's like people take like hotels there in the area, drinks. And
So
like,
we're going
it's-
to save areas
people
only
come
that
to
are
see-
important for tourism, and we are not going to take care of the.
People come to see the fireworks. They really do, and even some Australians who are foreigners, they come. However, it doesn't really matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. We're starting the new decade. It could have been this incredible example
Of course.
for the entire world. Because can you imagine if the news here wasn't like a little snippet of 30 seconds of fireworks from Sydney, like
Right,
in a montage,
you need to see that
in a montage
over
of all
New
the
Year.
different fireworks.
Because that's
from-
where it all starts. It's like
Whereas-
once the fireworks go off in Sydney, all right, now the whole
Well,
pan
yeah,
across the world.
Exactly, and then, but it's just part of a montage, and there it is again. We've done it for decades, or however,
Right.
years. It's like, can you imagine if it was Sydney cancelled the fireworks this year because of this?
Yes.
And the interesting thing is that the fires, the ferocity of the fires on New Year's Eve was just as bad as when it became world news, which was 1 week later, a whole week later. And I do wonder to myself, like, if this was news at the time that it needed to be news, it needed to be news the whole
Always,
time,
yes.
always. Like, if it was news a week earlier, how much, because you look at Celeste Barber, right? And I just want to do a shout out here because she is an actor and a comedian. She's
Right.
a community, she's part of the community of artists that have come out of Australia. She raised $50 million.
Wow.
And our government continues to say that the arts aren't important and continues to defund the arts.
Well, you know, Jim Jeffries and people, you know, I went over there to do stand-up in Australia, and all the Australian comics have to leave Australia because there's very little support. They have to go to London or New York or Los Angeles to make money.
Yeah.
And it's a shame
It's true.
that all these people have to leave, and you have some of the greatest artists in the world that come out of there. You know, the fact is that, you know, like Jim Jeffries, for instance, is one of the funniest comics I've ever seen. I saw him in Australia. Next time I saw him in London, he said, I'm moving to London. I go, why? He says, the community won't support us. I was on a show, I forgot the name, Glass Doors or something. I was on some show there, and it was one of the funniest show I've ever been on. All the hosts of the show were some of the best comics I'd ever, smartest comics.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the show's off the air. And I called the guys and said, what's going on? They go, there's no money for us. There's no money for the
Yeah,
arts.
my best friend from high school moved to London. She's a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And she had to move, and now she just got her first like dramatic job in on Australian TV now.
Yeah.
Hannah Gatsby's from Australia. She's amazing.
Okay, yeah.
But hang on, I haven't finished.
No, we're not.
Okay,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
We have some notes that come across, and you're wearing glasses. I don't wear my glasses,
fine. It
and I
says
have
we
to
need
let
to
go
break,
there.
but
we don't need to. We have
But I
a
haven't
couple of
finished about
minutes.
the protest idea.
Right, that's what we want to hear
Do
about.
we actually have?
We have
couple of
time for
minutes?
the.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, he needs a break. So when we come
Okay.
back, we're going to continue the conversation about the protest, and in the meantime, you can
Cliffhanger.
have this great thing.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather Marie Baker, and this is Ojucation, the game show on the OG Talk where it is deeply rooted in vegetable knowledge. I am here with Irina. How are you, Irina?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. I just got in from the Garden State. It's a little land, you know, known for its bountiful produce and big hair. Yeah?
Yes.
And we're here to test your knowledge of vegetables.
Okay.
All right, it is a simple game. It's called Root of Knowledge. I'm gonna give you 3 questions, true or false, and you answer them. If you win, you win a gift certificate to the Organic Grill.
Okay.
All right,
Let's try.
let's try. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
All right, here we go. For the first question, true or false? Organic means the same thing as non-GMO.
Yes. True.
True, organic is the same as non-GMO?
Yes.
They are the same thing? Exactly the same?
Not exactly.
Not exactly the same. So is that
Yes.
true or false?
false.
False! You're right, you're right, you're right. You know, one of the benefits of buying organic produce is that it does not contain synthetic fertilizers and pesticides,
Right,
which is
yes,
not a guarantee in non-GMO products, okay? All right, you got that first one. Let's go on to the second question. All right, true or false? In 1893, the Supreme Court ruled tomatoes vegetables.
Well,
They say they are legally vegetables.
yes.
True.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is true. Did you know that in the New York ports there was a little dispute and they took it to court? And we made vegetables legally. We made tomatoes legally vegetables.
Okay, yes.
You know, I bet there's some kids out there that want to emancipate from broccoli, right? I know I would.
This is the last one.
All right, this is the last one. Are you ready for this last question?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Arena, for the final question. True or false? The skin of a cucumber can be used to erase mistakes in ink.
Oh, I'm not sure, but.
All right, but who knows? So if you were to take a guess,
Yes.
yes, you're absolutely right. You can actually use cucumbers to erase some pen marks. Unfortunately, there's not enough cucumbers in the world to erase this.
Oh, okay.
That happens, you know, late nights.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Somehow, yeah.
Congratulations, Arena. You just won education. All right, so you get a $25 gift certificate to the Organic Grill. Have you ever been to the Organic Grill?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, fantastic. So you know it very well. I have one more thing for you. If you could just tell the viewers at home, read that for me.
My name is Irina, and I know my vegetables a little too well.
It is true. She knows them a little too well. Thanks for playing, Arena.
Yeah, thank
oh,
you.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for playing. This is Education. Back to you guys.
Welcome back, everybody. We've been eating. The food's amazing.
Oh my God.
But there's important issues we're talking about, and you know, when we got cut off because my mic was going in and you were hearing. You were talking about the activism you were doing.
Oh yes, yes. Oh yes, yes. The protests.
Yes.
It sounds like we've been away for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we have been.
Like
I grew a beard and shaved it in that time.
You asked me about the protest. So it wasn't like some organized thing. I actually did it on my own. So the party that I thought I was going to never wasn't happening.
It's like, what do? I don't go to the party, so let's protest.
So I didn't know what to do with my New Year's Eve, and I thought, fuck, it's a new decade. Like, I'm here. Like, my sister's going to some beautiful dinner. I cannot spend it. I cannot be 38, single, and spending New Year's with my parents and their dog.
What's weird, I
so-
did it. I was with her parents on New Year's Eve.
Well, actually,
And the
I was
dog.
with them as well, but here's what happened, and the dog. So I woke up, I was watching this incredible video made by an Indigenous activist, Luke Curry Richardson, and it was about reparations in Australia, and I just was listening, you know, about colonialism and imperialism, and I just went, I'm just gonna go to Parliament House and sit outside Parliament House in solidarity with all these young climate change activists, you know, as kind of started with Greta in Sweden,
Right.
and kind of just
Thunberg.
do what she did, yeah. Kind of just do what she
some
did.
water?
No. Don't worry, I won't have a cough attack.
Might be cool.
In solidarity, and it doesn't matter. Like it's just my way of spending my New Year's.
So
Eve.
they already
Just
were
to-
doing
to,
this.
To start it
Oh my
properly.
God,
They
yeah.
were already doing this and
she's
you
been
joined
doing it
them.
for 6 to 8 months, I think, or something. And when she started it, she did it by herself, and no one was watching.
Right. Well, you
know?
did that when you were a kid. I
But it
read
was your
about.
personal statement. You didn't
Oh,
care
yeah.
if anybody. If,
No, it
But
was just
but when she was a kid, she did the same thing. She put this together.
I did, but there was
It was
no-
like 10,000 kids.
Yeah, it was like
or-
a bunch of school kids. I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But so I went and I said to my parents what I was doing, and then I made these signs, and Mum was like, "Oh, are you driving over there?" And I said, "Well, how else am I going to go? The trains like take 7 hours. It just didn't. There was no. The train timetable wasn't wasn't right. It was weird on that day, so I couldn't get there in time." And she goes, "Well, that's not a very what was it?
Sustainable, yeah.
Sustainable
Oh,
way
right,
to
yeah, because
protest."
you're
and
in
I
the
looked
gas.
at her and I was like, "And when was the last time you protest, let alone protest sustainably?" My mum's vegan too. And she goes, "Hmm." And I said, "If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Do not criticize me." She goes, "I wasn't criticizing, it was just a comment." I said, "Mum, when you protest sustainably, I will join you, but I am driving to Canberra tonight and I'm going to sit in front of Parliament House with a sign, and I'm going to sit there for 12 hours. That's what I'm going to do. Whatever happens, happens." And she got upset that I said she was criticizing me, because she felt that was a criticism of her.
Yeah, it is.
you know,
And-
you were objective. She was criticizing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden, her and Dad were like, "We're coming with you.
Wow.
We're going to drive and we'll spend New Year's with you, but then we're going to go to a hotel." And my dad was like, I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to get I'm not gonna get out of the car. And Dad was the first one out of the car. You know, he was the first one like on the lawn. He was, you know, and the dog, like the Marsha came as well. So we celebrated New Year's Eve together on the lawn of Parliament House with some of the federal police. Because
their parents and their dogs.
I wish.
Yeah.
They probably,
wouldn't that be nice?
Let me tell you something about the Australian Federal Police. It's very different to here. And so when you say police, I know that there's you know,
Around the world,
I guess
there's
in all of colonialist
stigmatism.
countries, there's a certain kind of opinion about it. But here it's really different. And over there, the Federal Police, you know, I had a very civil chat with them about what I could do and like what would constitute an arrest and what wouldn't. And then I kind of had to think about, well, you know, I'm not with Whoopi Goldberg. Like, there's no point in being arrested. Like, I'm not.
Right.
It's not like there's going to be people coming. No one's going to cover me being arrested except me from my, you know, Instagram. It's not worth it. Like, I don't have enough followers.
That's how you get more followers that way, though. You pull a Jane Fonda, and all of a sudden you have a million followers.
No, but you know, and look, and in Australia is a place that I could do that. I actually was thinking about going over there and doing that whole thing, but for me to be arrested here, I would never be allowed back. So, because I'm not, you know, I'm not a citizen. So,
but your life has been full of activism. I mean, the way you eat, the way you live, and then I wanted to bring that up again. I thought it was so tremendous how when you were a younger kid, you tell that story.
Yeah. So when I was I'm writing a letter to sort of the global youth movement kind of thing that I want to sort of post. I'm writing them a letter. This is a nice about that and thanking them because. When I was 12 or 13, I think it was 2000 1995, when Jacques Chirac was doing the nuclear testing, and we heard about it in Australia, and I was really kind of shocked by it. And a friend of mine, my best friend at that time in school, she was a through and through hippie in terms of like she smoked pot. We were really young. She smoked pot. She ran around in like fairy dresses and you know, and she would be like, you know, I flew last night, and I'd be like, what? And she'd say, yeah, I flew, and she'd explain it to me, and I'd sit there and I'd be like, oh, that's really beautiful. So we were in class, and we'd finished what we were supposed to be doing. We were bored, and she sent me a little note, and it just said, let's do a walkout against the nuclear testing. And I read it, and I thought she was serious. And so instead of like having a conversation with her about it, I literally got my book and went, this is what we need to do. And I figured it out. And I got my mother to print up flyers that were, you know, a half A4 page. So we could do two. I got her to print out, I think 1,000, so 500 pages at work secretly. Every day she would print out 200. And within 2 or 3 weeks, we set a date. I went and posted all these flyers in, to do a school walkout, right? To do what Micah suggested. She was like, I didn't know you were serious. I thought, I was just joking, like, let's, you know. And
but you were already determined.
Oh my God, this was it. Like, this is what we were doing. And the whole idea was for the schools to meet on a Friday in the city and then march to the French embassy. And it just so happened. So we went to like markets, flea markets, places like dense school districts, put them on poles, you know, and like you had to look out because you would be. I mean, I wouldn't be arrested. I was 13, but I'd be reprimanded.
But you're 13. How does it feel for you to be doing this? What kind of? Was there a nice, powerful feeling like you were in?
No, I didn't feel powerful.
So it wasn't about you.
I don't feel powerful or like empowered when I'm doing that stuff. I feel panicked. Like I feel scared. I feel like, you know, we're eating up the earth.
But did you feel like it's the right thing to do?
Yes.
Is that what moved you, right?
Yeah, of course. It's like it was like the only option, you know, because I'm powerless. And by the way, we don't have social media, so we don't have this kind of. All we have is the news, and all I can see is protests on the news from France or maybe Germany. You know, there was different countries protesting, but I don't think I ever saw a school protest, right?
And you know what's interesting about that kind of a thing? When the news shows a protest, they go to the extreme left or the extreme right. You don't see your parents and the dog on the lawn all protesting. You see the freak protesting on one side or the other.
We did have some news cameras, by the way, in Australia coming into the US.
They're looking for sensation, for something.
For sensation.
Of course they are. And by the way, that did happen with this protest. So I'll tell you. So we, on the day of the protest, I actually could not believe this. It resulted in like there were certain schools that were locked in. Like students were not allowed to leave. It was on every single news channel.
Because they were
3,000 to
afraid of
4,000
copycats,
students.
that all students are going
They
to
were
do
trying to
this.
control it.
No,
They
they were
were-
trying to
They're
control
trying
it
to
because
control it.
they
That's
were
what
worried.
they were afraid of mass.
They didn't want their
movement,
students
yeah.
because I think they're liable, unless they've got letters from the parents. And I
yes.
think parents weren't sending letters. And so this whole, because that's the whole point of marching while school
Right.
is on. Otherwise, no one's going to pay attention. It's this whole thing of we'll let you march here, but please don't march on the street and
Right,
stop
it's
traffic.
like, don't
The
do
whole
this
point
during the
is to
football
stop
game.
traffic.
Don't do it because, no, that's when you do it, when millions of people are watching.
Absolutely.
They say, can you protest in the closet
Yeah.
late at night when no one's paying attention, because we don't want that.
I just want
We're all over the
to
place.
share
Go
with
on.
you my impression of you. This is what I really
I thought you were going to do an impression of her.
liked about you, that you take in charge of things, not necessarily just leaving it to unfold whatever happens. Like I read about your story that when you were not getting your roles that you like, you just decided to start a theater company, right, with your friend, and you started to do plays that you like to do. And this is like really kind of summarizes for me impression about you. Like you really take charge of things and you want to do your way. You want to work with people that you want to dine with. And I was actually thinking about it, like she likes to work with people she dines with, but she comes to dine here, so is she going
Do
to
you
enjoy?
Do you guys want to do a show together?
I'm ready. I always am ready to do that kind of a thing.
As long as it's not blind date show like
Right.
we had before.
Well, so I'm doing. It's really amazing that you talk about that stuff. Oh my God, we haven't finished any of the stories,
Right,
by the way.
I know.
Like we've literally cut halfway off.
We're doing a
I'm
6-hour special documentary.
I'm going to go back to what you just said about doing stuff. Like I feel like that's what the youth are doing now. And I know, the youth, these young people, these teenagers. I mean, they're
Those
teenagers.
young people.
Those young
But
people.
they're fed
but
up.
there are leaders. They're fed up. I mean, there's a 10-year-old in oh my goodness, where's he from? I've forgotten.
But they're not
Right.
as powerless anymore, right?
No,
they
of
have
course
so
not.
Because
much
Because of
social
social
media.
media.
Social
Right.
media
In
and,
Vietnam, the
but I
Vietnam
also
protests
think
are the
it's
same
about
kind.
attitude, that they know that they can change the world.
But don't you think there's been attitude all through history? Even before there was even television or news, all that kind of stuff. But now with social media, it's different because it gets out there in a second.
Absolutely. The thing about the protest that we did, right? 1995, no social media. There was 3,000 kids. Then we accidentally set up the protest to be on the same day as like some resistance socialist movement or something that was on that day.
Right.
So then there was like 5 to 6 to 7 to 10,000 that day. And every news channel, we had an open mic. I remember I wore this, I made myself this sash and it said Miss Nuclear Free World, and I wore a little black dress. And
There's fashion that goes along with it.
I had to. I love that. I wanted
Yes.
to look pretty. Listen, I was
Of
protesting,
course.
but I wanted to look pretty. I had a big hat and I had like a peace sign on my cheek, and I remember like we like that day you felt like you were communicating something important, and that you were conversing, and that you know, and there was like some kids that burnt the French flag, which of course got on the news. And
Yeah.
my friend Micah, my stoner friend Micah, who I love to death, she's an artist. She made a paper mache thing of Jacques Chirac. She was like, "We're going to burn this," and I was like, "Micah, we're not doing that.
You're right.
That's so bad. We're not." She goes, "Why not? It's free." Free speech, free this, free that. And she was like, legalize marijuana, burn Jacques Chirac. And I was like, my God,
Yeah.
oh my God, people don't understand this. She was way ahead of her time. And of course that was on the news. But then there was also some really good stuff on the news. But it came and went. That was a news story. It came and went. There was
The next day, there's a new tragedy.
story,
there's a new
or there's like a
horror
political
show.
thing.
But I don't think it's only about the story itself. Look, this has shaped your life, and look at you.
Yes, me personally, but
and so many people who just go with life knowing that they can change things, and they're consistent, and they do certain things and make certain choices
Right.
that shapes
I
life.
understand that, and I believe that individual responsibility is a great thing, but also like there is a systemic problem, and it's not going to be helped by me being woke or me being, me individually being aware or being active. And that was kind of what happened then,
But you didn't get discouraged. You felt
I
like
did.
You did. Huh?
I did get discouraged, and it might seem like I didn't because I wanted to do more, and I did do more, and it didn't get noticed. And then I worked with refugees in Australia as well. When the detention centres were still on the mainland, I would go and visit every week. We would sneak, like, I don't want to say what we did in case they're still doing it, but we would find ways to communicate with them and find really, really great ways to help them communicate with their families. You know, and these refugees are sort of housed in privately American-owned private prison company facilities, right? So, and the people who work there are trained to be prison guards, not to be, so it's Australian taxpayers paying for people who they want to have in their community to be imprisoned on Australian land, and the money goes to a private American company. I mean, this is what we're talking about. And now those detention centres have been taken off the mainland, so they're on an island. So it's really hard to visit. It's hard to do what I used to do. And so, and most of the people who I used to visit are out or left. Some of them went to New Zealand. Like there's a family that went back to Iraq and went to New Zealand. And some of them I have never heard from again because they left. It was too hard. It was too discouraging. Some stayed in there for 5 years. Babies were born in there. I mean, it's like, and I thought when I came here, this is so good. Like, this is so different. It's good here. You know, like there are illegal citizens who have rights. That's amazing. America's way ahead of the game. You know, and it was. America's ahead of the game in a lot of principles and ideas and social activism and movement, but it's like governments keep tearing it down and tearing
you know, there are problems like everywhere else.
Right, and there's money involved in everywhere. In the private,
that's the problem.
The private prisons, there's money to be made. So you got to put people in prison because you know if you don't put them in prison, these corporations can't make any money.
There's a cash incentive to imprison people. There are prisons being built now in this country, and if you think about there's prisons being built, that means that they're being built for people who are
who are not even born yet,
who aren't even born, or like really young, and so therefore there is incentive to create a criminal class. It's unbelievable.
Well, here,
and we have to remember that Clinton was the one who made that happen.
Clinton was the one who made that happen.
So this is not like a anyway.
It's not Democrat or Republican.
Of course it's not.
About money. That's the way it is. And what's interesting, to sort of wrap up this whole part of the thing,
well, are we?
Is that because
why are we wrapping it up?
Not wrapping up the show, but just look at an overview. It's all about having a personal feeling, a personal gut feeling about what's right and how to do the right thing. And what gets in the way of it is people with money interests that get in the way of it. And that's what I think could be frustrating.
Not necessarily money, maybe ignorance, or just
do you think everyone's
single-minded
ignorant?
people?
But you don't even need to have a personal feeling. If it's not systemic, it's not going to, like, so you don't need to have a personal opinion about any of it. You just need to vote in people who aren't going to induce systemic racism for the point of making money.
Yet they keep re-voting the same.
Because they don't know.
Yeah, and that's where you're saying ignorance. That's where ignorance comes along.
Fair enough.
So I'm right.
Yeah.
All right.
Completely.
And I'm not criticizing.
But I don't even think it's ignorance.
Right.
I don't even think it's ignorance. I think it's
so
far more. No. Of course, it's ignorance in its essence, but it's far more heartbreaking than that. It's lack of education. It's lack of resources to be educated. That's what it is.
But then look what's happening here.
And
now,
then you pit people up
vegan,
against each other as individuals.
As vegan, you know, there's a tiny percentile of people who are vegans. So are you going to scream that to be a vegan and that's going to help? No, you be an example for the people around you, and that's what really makes a difference. And that's what you've done. It appears to me your whole life has been an example for others.
Yeah, but the other thing that you can do as a vegan, apart from doing it yourself, because you and me, we're not going to make a difference to the climate crisis. We're really not by being vegans, right? I'm a vegan for various reasons. There's a myriad of reasons.
I agree.
Right?
Which might not
and
be,
let me tell you something. If I wasn't vegetarian before I did the research, because I became vegetarian for the animals, before I did the research on dairy and then became vegan, I would still be doing it for the animals. But if I wanted to eat meat, and if I was eating meat yesterday, and today I found out about the global implications, I would stop. So I'm not a vegan who doesn't like the smell of meat.
But you're one of the few people who'll do the research, who'll do that. Other people will sit at home, you know.
But somebody comes to it from completely different perspective. Health,
yes.
Or because they were young and they had a dog and now they
get it.
Yeah,
they get it.
So it's all different. Who cares? Why is it?
That's right. Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's also other things that you can be doing in terms of the global implications of, you know, agricultural meat. So it's like we could lobby government we could vote people in and lobby the government
Right.
to like stop subsidizing beef, for example,
Right,
and
well,
let
the-
it cost what it actually costs.
Well, look at the government subsidizes the dairy industry, which is crazy. That's how.
We can talk about it forever.
For hours
Like,
on
like
this.
for
Well, that's what we
example,
should talk about.
You're right,
I
that's
don't
what-
know how you can support dairy and be a feminist.
No,
right?
no,
That to
I'm
me
not
doesn't make
disagreeing
sense.
with you. I'm just saying, like, for years I was thinking that organic certification program is such a good thing, and now I'm like, wow, we just delayed and prolonged this agony of dairy industry, because now we have this niche market for organic eggs, humanly raised chickens, or we just gave them like almost free waiver to prolong this agony that is not going anywhere. So it has so many different components.
But the organic industry is important for people to know where the sourcing of their food, right? So I don't believe that it's up to me to tell people whether they can eat meat or not. It's not up to
Right,
me.
it's
Just
not.
like, because if a person wants to kill an animal, that's their prerogative. I really believe it is. It's not up to me to tell someone whether they're allowed to murder another human being either. I don't believe that that's my prerogative. I choose not to murder other people as
Good.
as you know,
Yeah,
a
that would
solution to a
suck.
problem.
The food was great,
But
but
there
then
are
we
many
got killed.
reasons that
Sick
someone
stuff.
would, and as an ethical conversation, that is not up to me, because humans have killed and raped and murdered each other and other species.
And you can have an ethical conversation with people who have different ethics. So it's like
Humans can do any, like literally, we are capable of anything. We are capable of the worst evil and the greatest good, and it's boggling, and it's a puzzle, and it's like this cosmic puzzle, and it's this eternal puzzle of humanity and who we are in our existence, right? But I choose not to partake in any of that stuff because I don't want anything to do with it. However, when we talk about agriculture and business and money and subsidization, that's where it gets to an ethical conversation.
Right.
Because it is not ethical to be doing with animals what we are doing. It is not. It is not ethical. It is, to me, it's not ethical that vegan cheese costs $12 or whatever it is. Right? Hang on. No, wait. That it's organic, it's amazing, and it costs so much money because it costs so much money to produce, while the government subsidizes beef,
Right.
the murder, the slaughter of millions of animals. My taxpayers' money go to make it cheap
Absolutely.
for someone else.
Can't agree more.
To feed
Can't agree
people,
more.
by the way, to feed people, and this is where like poorer communities are affected more, right?
And you
because
know
the
how
food
many
is
times,
worse there.
Just to prove your
If
point,
they
how many
subsidize
times-
this stuff,
how many times
everybody would be vegan. It
Yeah.
tastes incredible.
That's
Right.
not. No, that's forget about substitution. If people would only know how much aggravation, shame sometimes I have to endure for people who come here and say, "Oh, your prices are high." Yes, I can't compete with bodega who that sells substituted.
And
meat.
that's not-
and for example, and why even I have to prove that it's organic or not organic? Why my government
Yeah.
have to put me in a position that
Yes.
I have to explain why
Yes.
organic is difficult and not cheap, and sometimes we can't get organic. So what do? We have to call two different vendors.
Yeah.
And
Which proves
why
that-
do I have to say that? Oh, this is good food and that is a bad food. What if it's just food, just clean food?
Yeah.
So they have to pay more.
Yeah.
Premium, and I'm not even putting it in my
Yeah.
pocket. I just have to pass it on third party or freaking certification program that they want to give me as a
I love
marketing
you. I
program.
love him so
yeah,
much.
it's like it's so
But do you know
difficult.
what? Do you know what pains me about that as well? Is that it pits you up as an individual against a farmer or against another citizen who is trying to make a living to raise a family.
Yeah, what's
right?
wrong with
And
that?
this
That's very
is
true.
bullshit
Because
it's
Absolutely.
Right.
not about the individuals, and that's where I'm talking about the systemic problem.
Absolutely.
It's so easy for the people in government to pit the individuals up against each other, and then these factions of powerless individuals are warring against each other, and it becomes about you against a meat farmer. Whereas really, it's a problem that the government on that level can fix by
Look at what
Right.
look
creating-
at Eric Adams, right? They did Meatless program, Meatless Monday, and nobody was opposing it.
Right.
So it's like it was his individual initiative and some other people who supported him, and it was done.
So
and
what do you
nobody
think
was
the
against
problem is?
it.
The problem is it's the people with the money and it's in their
absolutely
pocket.
because it's a lobby. There's a whole
because
lobby,
that's
and I'm not.
that's who you're going. And there's
But
nothing
I-
wrong with making money. Nothing wrong with making money, but to make it at the expense of people's lives, the expense of people's livelihood, the expense of the earth that we all live in.
But we can't ask these people to self-police themselves.
Right.
I
No,
think
and you
we
can't
can
do
do
it.
it.
Exactly right.
So as a consumers, we just have to demand, but we have to be more active. Remember what Rachel Atcherson, who was here, she said, listen, we're getting phone calls from our constituents that garbage wasn't picked up, but nobody calls about school lunches. Okay,
Right.
she said, if you call more, they know there is a problem. If you don't, then they don't know. So it's we always putting it on somebody,
Yes.
when in fact it's us.
I mean, it's also, you know, like we're not even talking about like the depletion of forests to cultivate the vegetarian food that then we feed the animals that then we eat.
Right.
I mean, it's like
Just cut out the middle guy and just go right to the vegetables. Now, you know, we could talk for hours, and we will,
And we
we will
should.
get
I
together,
think we
and
should
we'll
invite
bring
you.
What's going
we'll
on?
invite you back.
We
Are we
have to-
finished?
We're going to be finished. You know, there's so
we
so
didn't
much.
talk about Serbia. We didn't talk about Instinct. We didn't talk about Westworld.
Right,
we
we have
didn't
to
talk
have
about
part
Shameless.
two.
We didn't
We're
talk
gonna-
about
right.
Rake. We didn't talk about the Australian Award. We didn't talk about the Blind Date Project.
Wow, she's
We didn't
gonna,
talk about
wanna
the
know
she's
all
gonna
of
walk
that.
out now.
Right.
We didn't talk about Doctor. Oh, okay. I don't know what that is. Film to TV. We didn't talk about Ride on Theatre. A little bit. You touched on it.
Yeah.
Fake
Gonna be
porno in
all
Melbourne.
Yeah.
in part 2.
Network TV.
Part
Australian.
2 and part 3.
We didn't. Oh, we did talk about the school walkout. We talked about
Yeah,
the last
there's
thing
so
on the
many
list.
things that I wanted to talk
So
about.
now you
but
know
because
what's
we've
going
had
to
this
be in the
great-
next episode
next
with
episode.
Bojana.
We just love you guys at home. It's OG Talk. We want you to subscribe, tell
And
your
if you don't
friends about
subscribe,
it.
you'll never hear part 2.
Yeah,
and if you
and
don't
part
rate,
3.
it's not gonna be part 3. Okay, so you better do it.
Yeah, part 4. And so for Bojana, for Vlad, I'm Eddie Brill. Thanks for watching OG Talk. We're going to continue this conversation. We'll talk
Thank
to
you
you
very
later.
much. Let's help Australia.
Vlad, you're the best.